Hello everyone, Forest Focus, a real sickener of a defeat today. The City ground, Nottingham Forest beaten 1-0 by Liverpool, having played really well in the first half, faded in the second a bit, but deserved a point for me. Couldn't hold on to it, and we'll discuss why, and obviously a lack of goals in the team that are making people worried, even more so about relegation. And we'll get the perspective of the chaps on how they're feeling about the relegation battle in the company of, first of all, Paul Morley. Paul, evening, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Mixed emotions, I think. Bit of deja vu from a couple of seasons ago, wasn't it, with the Darwin Núñez last-minute goal and where we should have got a point. Feeling a bit better knowing that Spurs have just been demolished 4-1 by Arsenal, so they're still definitely in it with us. But yeah, could have been a really positive day. I still think there's quite a few positives to take out of it, but yeah, just ultimately a bit frustrating and a bit flat that they ended the way that it did.
Yeah, it's a real sickener when that goal went in. After getting the let off as well. Although it was a really unfortunate goal that Forest conceded initially when MacAllister first scored. But yeah, tough to take certainly. Simon Fotheringham, good evening. How are you?
Hi, mate. Yeah. Good, considering what we went through a couple of hours ago now, isn't it? Yeah, you go through every emotion, don't you? You know, the goal that's then ruled out for VAR, so you kind of think, yeah, great, we're going to get a point, and then get it snatched off you at the end, and yeah, it's disappointing to lose to anyone in that fashion, and it's doubly disappointing to lose to them in that fashion, isn't it? And yeah, gutted, but a lot of positives, and hopefully we can talk about some of the positives. We just like you've said in the introduction, Matt, we need to find goals from somewhere, and I, for one, don't know where they're coming from, but let's unpick it.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, the big question really is, Paul, does today make you feel more likely we'll stay up because we played well, or more likely we'll go down because we played well but we can't score, and we have that obvious ongoing fallibility at the other end where we can't see out a clean sheet? So I don't know, which side of the ledger are you on?
I really don't know. It's funny, isn't it? We've been talking for the last however many weeks about, we've been getting okay results, but performance has been bad. And we've thrown a performance like that today, and obviously don't get the results. So I don't know. I think if we keep playing the way that we have done in the last two games under Pereira, they said it on the TV. You've got to think that we should be okay. But then, like you say, you can't. At the end of the day, the game is won and lost in both boxes, isn't it? As good as you might be in the middle of the pitch, as we were today, I'm sure we'll talk about Sangare and Anderson and how well they did. But you've got to make the right decisions and be clinical at both ends of the pitch. And obviously, that's what we've been struggling with, and it is a cause for concern. So it feels like the players are still giving everything, and I think as long as that's the case, then that gives me hope and optimism. And it'll be interesting to see how they react. They've obviously got to. They'll be feeling obviously sick in the dressing room after today. Thankfully, the situation in the Fenerbahce game means that we can probably give a few a rest who arguably looked a little bit tired towards the end today, having gone twice in 4 days. And then obviously his big game against Brighton next week, who, to a degree, I don't know whether them winning yesterday is a good or bad thing for us, because maybe the pressure's off them a little bit now. They've got that result next week, so perhaps they go into that a bit more relaxed, which maybe helps us if they lose yesterday and the tension's ramped up for them. Then it's a must-win game for them, where perhaps next week's not quite so much must-win for them. So don't know, lots of emotion. I'm not really sure whether I feel more or less confident after today, but like I say, if we're feeling positive, there's enough positives to take forward, and hope to think that we can start to turn some of these performances into better results.
Yeah, I think I can talk myself into either camp really, and probably I don't think we know the answer until we see how they shake out, particularly against Brighton, less so against Fenerbahce. But the Brighton game is obviously a big one, and there's the cliche of 11 cup finals to go for us, West Ham and Spurs. I'll ask you the same question, Fothers. More likely or less likely to stay up based on what you've seen today?
I'm always glass half full. What's the point of going into the last 11 games thinking we're going to go down? Who's going to get any enjoyment out of that? So you've got to stay positive. I worry where the goals are going to come from, but you look at that first half performance today, and actually there's not a lot wrong, is there? We took it to Liverpool. I think maybe a few tired legs second half. When you look at the players they can bring on compared to, and I'm sure we'll get onto our bench and our not our starting 11, if you like, a little bit later on. But no, you've got to keep the faith. We've got winnable games left. What do we need? Probably 3-4 wins from the last 11. Surely with the players that we've got, we can do that. But I keep going back, and like you said there, the other side of that coin is we're not scoring goals, and there's only one currency in football. You can play all the football that you want. You can have Anderson pinging it around, Gibbs White doing what he does, but if you don't stick the ball in the back of the net, you're not getting any points. And that's the biggest worry. But surely we've got to enjoy it, haven't we? We've got to enjoy it, and we've got to be positive. And I think that the City ground today was brilliant. I think that the crowd were back, and we should have got a point out of the game, shouldn't we? We should have been able to hold on in the 95th minute and couldn't.
Yeah, the atmosphere was really good today. It was the best I've known it this season, the games that I've been able to get to. So fans certainly did their bit. When I look at our attack, Paul, I thought Sangare was fantastic today, and he was great as the sitter. So no complaints about him. He just tired a bit at the end. Anderson's playing more advanced. He probably do need some goal production or more from him when he's playing more of an 8. Gibbs White had a really good game, but he's not really a prolific number 10. Hutchinson and Hudson-Odoi, probably two neat and tidy wingers, but they're not. I don't see either of them scoring a ton of goals. Igor Jesus is great at a lot of things, but he's not. Doesn't look at this stage of his career Premier League goal scorer. I don't know. Are there enough goals in this team? It goes back to the same question. If we play like that, will the goals come? Do you think?
Arguably against teams that I think there's one moment today, wasn't there? And we've said this about Jesus a couple of times, and that where he's got an extra half a second, which he gets in the European games, he's obviously very clinical. There was a couple of chances, I think, in a game a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember which game it was now, but where he looked like he had, the beating of the defence, and he just was about to pull the trigger and someone got back. Today, Hutchinson slipped him in. He wanted that extra half second, and Van Dijk got back. So perhaps against slightly less elite defences than we came up against today, he gets that extra half a second, and maybe he'll take advantage of it. It's the $64,000 question: can we score enough goals to stay up? I guess as long as you're creating chances, you've got to think that at some point you're I wouldn't say necessarily call it luck, but things are going to turn. So we created chances today. We obviously created a lot of chances on Thursday night. The way that Pereira's got the team set up looks like we're going to create more chances than we were doing under Davies. So if that continues, you've got to think that we will. It will turn if you keep getting yourselves in a position, keep creating the chance. I mean, obviously Hudson-Odoi today, gilt-edged chanced in the first 5 minutes that 6-7 times out of 10. That goes in and you 1-0 up, and then the game takes on a different slant. And it's those key moments that we just got to be more clinical in. A lot of it's confidence, of course, when you're down at the bottom and, maybe you're not as relaxed in that moment. You snatch at it a little bit, and because that it means so much. So, yeah, I think we just need a game where, 2 or 3 go in fortuitously, and that gets us off and running, and then confidence can suddenly turn, and then we start putting those chances away more often than not. So we need something to turn. We need a bit of luck, I think. But like I said, if we keep creating the chances, then you hope that they'll start going in.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really create a ton of. We didn't create that many chances, but we just played. We just played really well. We were really intense, with loads of energy. Won the ball back. Loads to like in the first half. We probably just didn't test Alisson quite enough, did we, Fothers? Should Hudson-Odoi be scoring there? I've watched the replay. I thought he'd done well live, but when I watched the replay, I think he probably has to score that, does he?
Yeah, they're the kind of goals they're the kind of chances you've got to take, aren't they? And I thought Liverpool were good with their blocks today. Where there were a few chances where we had a chance to shoot Gibbs White towards the end, and they were putting their bodies on the line. And you've got to expect that against the side of the quality of Liverpool. And so there were no real clear-cut chances, were there? But there were chances, and like Paul said, we're creating. We're looking a little bit more creative, and we're getting a few chances, and we've just got to start. We've just, like Paul said, it will come. It has to come, doesn't it? Surely.
think it's decision making, isn't it? Decision making and confidence. So when I say chances, we're creating situations is probably the better word to describe it, rather than chances, and just not finding that final pass or being clinical enough in that moment. And that's where something needs to just go for us, and we get, whether it's luck or whether it's just somebody grabs it by the scruff of the neck, and I guess that's when you look to your likes of Gibb White and your captain to say, in those moments, take responsibility, take control, and lead by example. So yeah, like I said, keep creating situations, and again, with this manager, he's been there 2 games, less than a week, or a week or so to really get working with the players. The signs are good, and I think that he can hopefully build that confidence in them and build them up to be able to be more clinical and make better decisions in those moments.
Yeah, we've got to work on set pieces as well.
That's in my that's in my notes. Yeah,
we get a corner. We scored from a corner, didn't we, in Turkey on Thursday night? Great delivery from Anderson, flick on from Gibbs White, and Jesus can't miss it. But defenses are better in the Premier League, and we've got to be a bit. The delivery from the corners is awful, so we've got to get better at those. And even the free kicks. We had the free kick in the first half, and you just want Murillo just to hit one, or Williams to hit one. And actually, we did try something different from the one on the edge of the box. But Liverpool get free kicks on the edge of the box, and you're thinking something's going to come of it. We get one, and I don't know. They've got all week on the training ground. Come on, do something different.
That is such a big part of the game, isn't it? I mean, we're struggling in open play. Normally, you would lean on set pieces. I find our delivery so frustrating. I know Anderson, we scored from one in the corner in the week, Paul, but I would not have Anderson on corners. I don't know who I would have on corners. Maybe Nico. I don't know.
I don't know. It's a real puzzle, isn't it? Because it's so many. I mean, so many poor deliveries in today, like not beating the first man or hitting it onto the roof of the net, and just looks like it's hit and hope, and has done for weeks and weeks and weeks. I think the one thing we did do slightly differently today, set pieces, which I've been frustrated about previously, was when it comes to throw-ins. So Aino took more long throws today. Not that we created anything from it necessarily, but he came across to the left to take long throw-ins, took long throw-ins from the right. So that sort of seems to be a slight change in instruction, in that get the ball in the box if you have the opportunity, which I think is wise. And we've seen long throws have come into fashion this season, and other teams are doing well from them. So I'm a fan of that. But yeah, the set piece delivery from corners in particular, I said it before a few weeks ago. It becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling sort of prophecy, in that if the players are kind of going across thinking, oh God, I've got to get this in the right area, they're putting pressure on themselves. It seeps through from the crowd. The crowd don't expect it. It's a bit of a vicious circle. And again, like we were saying before about the chances and the situations, we just need, a couple of good deliveries where we make something of it, and then maybe the tide turns, and they start to believe in themselves, and the players in the middle believe that the ball's coming into the right area, so they're getting the right positions themselves. Yeah, I don't have a magic wand to fix it. It's just I think, as Father says, it's hard work on the training ground, and keep trying inventive things, and maybe just look at what other teams do. I mean, it seems really simple, but surely you look at Arsenal and look at the example that they set from the way they deliver corners, the way they approach it. No one else seems to try what they do with loading the back post and players running across. Why don't we just try that and try and if you can't beat them, join them, sort of thing. Do what the other teams are being successful do, rather than just we seem quite static with the players in the middle on corners. So yeah, I don't know the answer. Other than hard work and who takes them, I don't know. Williams, like you said, maybe is worthwhile giving him a go, but yeah, other than just working hard at it, I don't really know what the answer is.
Yeah, or the odd short corner or something. I don't know. We did a little bit of invention from a couple of dead balls today, but our corners, they're really killing us when we can't score from open play. A few people in the chat, and 680 people with us, which is lovely. Appreciate if you would hit like, that'd be great. Asking where Taiwo was. I don't know. He wasn't in the squad. Luke, sorry, we've got to stick with Igor Jesus, haven't we, fathers? I don't see. I look at Lorenzo Luca in this team. I don't think he's that good from what I've seen, unless he's going to show more, or we're going to really play to his strengths. I would say, and stick the ball in the box.
Do you know what? The last 5 minutes at Leeds when he came on and scored with his first touch, I thought, here we go. And then, of course, he started the game against Wolves, and for 60, 65 minutes is clearly not the answer to the problems that we've got. Jesus, again, Taiwo, there's people calling for Taiwo. I don't know. He got lucky at Brentford, didn't he? It looked like he sold the defender, but come on, it's Taiwo. We've been watching him for 4 years. He didn't know what he was doing. The defender just slid past him and he put it through the goalkeeper's legs. So Taiwo's not the answer. I don't think Luke is the answer. I think we've just got to persist with Jesus and hope that he comes good. I mean, what's the options? I mean, Billy Davies he'd have put a defender up there, didn't? Was it Billy that put Greg Halford up top
Yeah,
a few years ago? I don't know. Maybe Milenkovic up top and Morato at centre half. No. In all seriousness, we're not going to be saved by any of our strikers, I don't think. So it means you've got to look at the others. You've got to look at Callum chipping in. You've got to look at Amari Hutchinson chipping in. Gibbs White's got to step up again and score more. And then Sangare, like he did against Tottenham, and maybe Anderson. Now he's been given a role to clearly be more forward. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But I really don't know what the answer is, because I look around. When I saw the side that he picked today, he's picked the best 11, hasn't he? And that 11 is not scoring from the chances that we're creating. So, yeah, don't know. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think he's got to be Igor Jesus. I think he's great at everything. And I think next season I could see him scoring goals. I just wonder if this season, unless Pereira can really get into him and get something really going for him, I'm not sure how many he's going to get. So that's what we need to spread them out. We need to get more. I mean, a lot of these teams aren't scoring a ton of goals, though, are they? We'll probably talk about how it is, Paul, but I don't see a lot of these teams having tons of goals in them. It's just eke out the odd 1-0, eke out a draw. It's going to be like this for the rest of the season, is it, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And that's why those teams are down at the bottom with us. They've got the same problems as we have, right? Mm-hmm. So, I think there's a lot of football to play. 11 games is still a lot. It's 33 points. I mean, not going to get 33 points, obviously, but there's a lot to still play for. There'll be twists and turns. I mean, we were celebrating the what was it? I can't remember his name. The United striker that scored, Chesko, scored against West Ham in the 97th minute of the week. Today it's their turn to do the same when we concede the 97th minute. So these sort of moments are going to come again between now and the end of the season for all the teams that are involved. Like I say, Tottenham today, I'm sat here sort of smiling, watching Tottenham get beat 4-1. They look desperate. They really do look desperate as a team. So, we are going into games like today, showing a lot of heart, a lot of togetherness, a lot of spirit. And Tottenham, for example, are just not showing that. I know West Ham are showing that, and Leeds are showing that. Tottenham really are in trouble, I think. They are the ones that should be probably feeling, I know they're 2 points better off than we are, but they are on such a nosedive that their fans, I'm sure, are in much more of a panic than we are. They're not happy with who their new manager is. I think we're quite content, given what the situation was with who we've got. So, when you look at it in the round, I know you did a thing the other day with talking to all the other teams and fans about how they feel. I think we've got more to be positive about than at least Tottenham and probably West Ham, to be honest, even though they picked up a little bit. I think, as I said to you just before we came on air, the last 7 or 8 games, West Ham have got 1 or 2 more points than us. Leeds have got the same number of points than us. So, we're still kind of mixing it with those teams. We're not getting ourselves out of trouble, but no one's really sort of accelerating away from us, and Tottenham are being dragged in. So, yeah, lots can still happen between now and the end of the season. And I think that I still think we can be positive going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, I know there's no point dwelling on it, but Arno Calawendo did score again yesterday, and I wish we could have put him off the bench in this game. I feel like he would fit this team a lot better than certainly Lorenzo Luca. Let's just box off the obvious other negative, and then we'll talk about some positives as well, obviously, because there were positives. The goal itself, it's interesting what the manager said after. He basically said, "Fothers, why aren't the big players marking the best players in the back post?" So I guess you're looking at Luka there, and you're looking at Milenkovic. And then I've watched it back. I mean, Ortega made one brilliant save from Ekitike, and he made a really good stop from Curtis Jones as well. Does he need to be doing better for the goal as well? He's pushed it out into an awful area.
Yeah, I think so. It's tough though, isn't it? The balls. I don't know whether I mean, Liverpool put 6 or 7 long throw-ins in the last 5 minutes. They clearly knew what they needed to do. I don't know why they didn't do that more often earlier in the game. It might have been a different story, but yeah, they started peppering the box. But for me, I think the keeper has to do better. I think he's been great, by the way, since he came in. I think when you look at the job that Matt Sells has done for us for the last couple of years, and the goalkeepers that we've had that have come in, I think Ortega's been spot on. But yeah, I think he's got to do better there. And interesting that the manager's kind of saying that when we're defending that in the last minute of a game, the players really should look at who they're marking and what they're doing. And I guess he's right. He can't be on there telling them where to stand. They've just got to be a bit brighter. But yeah, just really, really unfortunate. And you're just gutting at that point as well. Kevin Nolan always used to say when he was manager at Notts County, you've got to respect the point. Respect the point. Just keep it out at all costs. And when you get to the 97th minute of 5 added on, come on, we've got to be stronger, and somebody's just got to put their foot through it. So yeah, gutting.
Yeah, a few people in the chat as well saying Murillo kind of got in Ortega's way. He was going for the goal line clearance. Yeah, sorry, Paul, you wanted to come in.
I was just going to say, the way I saw it was Murillo sort of got there rather than Ortega, and as Murillo sort of almost being a little bit over-eager. And it's a communication thing, right? I don't know whether it's such a split-second thing. Van Dijk heads it, Murillo instinctively goes to block it, Ortega goes down. Is there even time to communicate by Ortega going, it's mine? They're just getting each other's way, and that led to the ball, sort of obviously dropping for MacAllister. So, if Murillo doesn't slide in there, I think Ortega just takes that comfortably, sits on it, everyone cheers, and clears it up the other end. The ref blows the whistle. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate. But when you're down there, these sort of unfortunate incidents tend to keep happening, don't they? And I think that's what you just got to try and concentrate. I guess probably what the manager was saying is just everybody's got to concentrate 100% for 100 minutes, and you can't let yourself just slip that 1 ounce of concentration, particularly when you're defending a set piece, like we were with the long throw, which obviously they took sort of short and the ball came in. So, but yeah, just as I said at the beginning, massive echoes of that Darwin Núñez, the same end cross coming in. It just felt like a repeat of that signal that we had a couple of years ago. But again, on the positive slant, that was in a very similar situation to what we are now. A couple of points out of the bottom 3. When we lost that game, you thought, "Oh God, here we go." And obviously, we managed to stay up relatively comfortably, albeit because the teams below us that season obviously were a lot worse than probably what we've got to contend with this season. So, if we're saying that was deja vu, hopefully that the same sort of thing ultimately transpires, and that we take that on the chin and manage to bounce back and keep our head above water.
That was a similar time of year as well, wasn't it? That Liverpool defeat, was it? I think it was February, wasn't it? Just very, very similar time.
Yeah, well, the sun was out. I remember it certainly. David asks about the additional minutes of injury time. I assume they just came because they had a VAR check on the disallowed goals, so I didn't see anything in that. And obviously, it's agonising that it was onside by millimetres, but it's VAR. I don't know. That's the game. I don't see anything untoward in it.
I think there's quite a lot. There's a lot of consternation on Twitter, isn't it? Because of the angle that we've all seen, you can't really see where his foot is. I think that's what makes it slightly. I don't know. People questioning it is because Van Dijk looks like he's offside the way his body's leaning, but then Aina's obviously behind him. You can't really see where his foot is. If we saw an angle from the other side, that would clear it up. But at the minute, I don't think we've seen that, which obviously it's feeding that.
Sorry, Paul, go on.
I was say that's the fact that we haven't seen the angle where Aina's foot is definitively from the other side. Well, I haven't seen it anyway. That's sort of feeding the conspiracy theorists saying, should be offside and Liverpool getting the decision and all the rest of it.
But I think we've also got to, if that was the other way around and that gets ruled out, then we're kicking off, aren't we? You've got to come to a point where we've got to stop looking for reasons not to give goals. The handball is an obvious one. That offside, it's marginal whichever way you look at it. You've got to give the benefit to the attacking side, even if it's Liverpool in the 97th minute at the City ground. For me.
Yeah, I think this was what I looked at when I saw it. It was, as Matt D says, Ekitike did look offside, and I sort of don't know how a player's not interfering with play, not interfering there, but you see it all the time in every game now, so it is frustrating. But I wasn't raging when I saw it, but I've literally only seen one replay when I come through the door.
I think Fothers hit the nail on the head. You've got to try and look at these things and look at it as if it were the other way around, and how would you feel? And I think you're right, Fothers. If that's us scoring that goal and it gets chalked off, you'd be miffed about it. So you got to take it.
Let's just take a word for the Trent navigation. Next game is Fenerbahce. I'm sure that's on TV, but I don't have a video for it. I should have thought of that beforehand. So let's take a word from Matt Ford.
I always bang on about the big shed when I'm on here, but my God.
Well, your 10 pints of Bass comments still get used. So it's cut on a separate ad for them.
This is such a good place. It's just, I think if I was ever kidnapped and I had to sort of go somewhere in my mind to escape, I think I might even choose the big shed over the City ground. I think I would just picture myself at the big shed, having 10 pints of Bass and 10 cobs, and I would just sort of stay there psychologically until I was released.
Thanks for the Trent nav. Sorry, I was looking at other stuff on Twitter there to see if I missed anything. We've got to about the positive stuff. We've got to about the positive stuff before this. I mean, you always say that too good to go down thing, but when we're playing like that in the first half, and the impact Pereira's made in terms of being more front foot, being more positive, it feels like you've got to take something from that. It's obviously there's all the stuff we've just talked about in the first 20 minutes, but there was a lot to like in that first half, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. And you'll never hear me saying that we're too good to go down, because we've been there, haven't we? We've done that. We were too good that season under Cloughie, and we got relegated. So there's no team that's too good to go down, but we do need to find some goals from somewhere. But yes, so many positives from the first half. We took the game to Liverpool. I think the stats at half time we were 54% possession. So we'd had more of the ball. I think it was 7 shots to their 2. And I know stats, you can make them stats look however you want stats to look. You can make them look positive, you can make them look negative. But so much positive to take from it. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to get behind the lads, those that are at the City ground and at the away games. Take the positives from it. Vitor Pereira has clearly made changes immediately. I think that's only going to get better the more he works with them. Paul said there he's probably only had 2 or 3 training sessions, tops probably, with all the travelling out to Turkey and stuff. So yeah, let's take the positives, and let's take the positives into the next 11 games. And actually, we took the game to Liverpool today, and all we did wrong in that first 45 minutes was not go in 1 or 2-0 up. And then that makes that second half different. Liverpool were always going to come out and be better second half. And I think we expected that. And I think when, the fact that they hadn't played for 7 days or 8 days or whatever it was since they played their last game, and we were in Turkey on Thursday night, has an effect. And when you look at the bench that we've got to bring on, then, we don't have the players that they've got to bring on. So second half was always going to be difficult. But the problem today was not taking advantage of all that good stuff that we saw in the first half, and it was great.
Yeah. I mean, defensively, I think it's a recurring theme, actually. I think we looked pretty strong defensively for the most part in open play. Paul. Midfield was great. I thought Sangare had his best game for us, or best half for us, certainly. Anderson was really good apart from corners. Morgan was really good. So it feels like the foundations are there, and it goes back again to, I saw someone in the chat say, all this is really good. Points and goals are what count. I suppose the theory is we play to that level, the points and goals will come. We just need the players to keep believing, don't they? If they keep doing this, then surely we'll be able to take the lead, and that feels crucial in some of these games.
Well, look, it's the same team as pretty much the last season, except we've got Hutchinson and Jesus instead of Alanga and Wood, right? And that's the difference. We're missing Chris Wood massively, and I think we're missing Alanga. I think Hutchinson's had a positive impact, but he's not as explosive as Alanga was in last season. So you take those two out and you replace them with those two, as well as they've done, given the ability that they've got. They're not as seasoned Premier League as the other two, and experience is a big thing at this level. And like you say, we just got to hope that that things turn. But it's understandable, that we look solid because we've got that base, we've got that team, that back four. I know obviously Lascelles has been out, but Ortega, he's got the experience to slot in and not make a huge difference. I think the midfield is solid. We've got obviously the two that played. You've got Yates and Dominguez. I think they're dependable to come off the bench. I thought Dominguez was pretty good when he came on today. He was winning balls. I think that was a theme throughout the whole game, particularly the first half. We were winning every 50-50. We looked hungrier. So again, like I said, if we keep that, if we take that attitude into every game, we will get rewards from it. Things will happen at the top end of the pitch if we keep things tight at one end. Something's going to go in, and we are going to, we might have to be grinding out 1-0 as much like it was last season. So yeah, lots to be positive about. Sangare, come back to your point, he was excellent. He was really, really good, and I think he's been. I know Nico's been solid this season and Anderson's been solid. Sangare's probably been the biggest positive of the season so far in terms of the improvement that he's shown. And he's shown us he's the player that we thought we were getting, 2 or 3 years ago. And as long as he stays fit, and if he can still, if he can keep that partnership with Anderson going in the centre of the pitch, and again, against lesser teams than we were up against today, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I will say as well, I thought Van Dijk was really good for them. He just wins every header. And Kanate was good as well, to be fair. I don't think we'll play centre-halves at that level every week. So, I mean, I'm pinning it on hope. It comes back to, I know Miles is saying this. It comes back to just how you view it and how you hope. I don't know how this is going to pan out. None of us do. So much of it is on the players now to reproduce this and take it to Brighton next up.
I think the one thing I've said this before, the one thing that makes me, again, when you flip the coin, which side are you on? Are you on the positive or the negative side? The fact that a significant chunk of these players have been through this situation before, some of them twice. I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Morgan's been through it twice. Yates has been through it twice. Williams has been through it twice. And a lot of the rest of them went through it in Nuno's first the first half season that Nuno had, the second half of that season where we had the points deduction. So they've been in this situation before, and they've pulled through. So they know what it takes. They know when the chips, when it's crunch time. These guys have delivered once, some of them twice, and kept us up. So that gives me hope over the likes of Tottenham, for example. Well, none of the Tottenham players have been in a relegation fight before, you would think. None of them expected to be here. So, they've got way more pressure on them, I think, than our players have. West Ham, again, I suppose a lot of they haven't really been in a dogfight for a number of years, so they haven't got that experience that we've got of being in this situation and dragging out of it. And the one thing I've said before, say again, if we do find ourselves slipping into the bottom three at some point in the next few weeks, that doesn't mean that the season suddenly ends and we're down. The season that we stayed up, the first season, I think we spent 31, 32, maybe even 33 weeks in the bottom three of that season, ended up not being in the bottom three. So just because if we do slip into the bottom three, that's not a time for us all to, throw the towel in and, go, oh, it's all over, it's done, because we know we can come back from those situations. So again, it comes back to being positive. And I think ultimately the players have got to deliver on the pitch, right? But from we do have a job as fans to help them. And for everybody inside the ground, like it was today, it was brilliant inside the ground today. I was only watching on TV, but that came across how well the fans were behind everybody today. And as long as we keep that spirit, and that's exactly what Leeds have got, and it seems what West Ham have got back in the last few weeks, is a club united. And I think as much as I was sort of skeptical about the change of manager, clearly that is one positive that has had, is that it's reunited the fan base again, and that we're in a situation now where everybody is behind the team, the manager, and the players, and everything feels united, which is better place than we were in, 8, 9, 10 days ago. So that hopefully is something that, again, we can use to our advantage and keep that unity between, players, fans and manager in the next, 6, 8, 9, 10 weeks. And that will see us over the line.
I think the other thing as well, Paul, on what you've just said there is that their players at Tottenham and West Ham have not been in these relegation battles before. The fans aren't either. So the Tottenham fans, they're entitled, aren't they? They should not be in 16th place and 4 points above the relegation zone. So they don't know how to react. That stadium can turn pretty bad. Like you said earlier, they're not happy with the manager that they've got. So things are not good down at Tottenham. West Ham, similarly, their fans kind of expect better than this. And I know we do after last year, but I think most Forest fans will know that we overperformed last year. But yeah, we've done there. We've done it 3 out of the last 4 seasons now. So we've got the experience to get out of this, and West Ham and Tottenham don't. And I think you're right. Leeds have got the home support. Christian's just said there in the chat that West Ham fans were quick to turn yesterday. Tottenham fans were quick to turn today. Forest fans just will stay behind the team right till the end. You just know we will.
I think we just need a little bit more. I suppose you look at senior players, Paul, just a little bit more from like Hudson-Odoi in front of goal. Probably a little bit more from Morgan in front of goal. Obviously, Igor Jesus, Anderson a little bit more. Milenkovic, a header from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's those margins that are going to be the difference, I think, isn't it?
Well, that's it. Well, you met 2 of those players. Hudson-Odoi had that chance we've talked about. Milenkovic had a header that just flashed wide. So, again, the players are getting themselves in those positions, and it's a confidence thing, I think, in order to just be more clinical. And like I say, we just need one of those to go in, for it to turn, for those players to feel more confident the next time they're in that situation. Maybe it starts next week. Maybe next week is where it turns, or the week after. But yeah, I don't know. We've said I don't want to sound like a broken record, and just saying we need to keep the faith and trying to keep trying to inject the positivity into the players as much as we can. And that hopefully filters through, and they feel that and just feel more confident in those moments to, be more clinical or make the better decisions in the final few yards of the pitch, which is like I say, which makes the whole difference. So, we just got to keep hoping, keep believing, and we know that these players have got quality. Again, I've come back to we've done it before. We've been in situations where the chips are down, and we've turned it around. And with most of these players, so they have what it takes. We know that, and that's what we just got to keep believing in.
What was I going to say? I've totally forgotten to say. Oh, Europe, a double-edged sword. Fenerbahce follows in the sense that we played really well and took a lot from it, but it looked like it took a lot out of the players as well. Physically, towards the end of that game, the starting players.
The Europa League's having an effect, isn't it? You can see it, but it's having an effect because I think we've recruited badly, and again we're kind of in the same situation we were in last season, where we've got a good starting 11, and then you start to tweak it from that 11, and the drop off to the players that are coming in. We saw it today with the players coming off the bench. So yeah, I think with the Europa League you need strength in depth, and you need players to step up in the Europa League. They've not done it, which is why we had to go to Fenerbahce on Thursday and play the 11 that started today. So yeah, they're going to be feeling it, and you could see second half against a side with the quality that Liverpool have got, that we were going to be under the cosh a little bit, and sure enough we were. They look at the bench. Arne Slot looks at the bench, and he can bring quality on throughout. Quality, experienced Premier League footballers, and we bring on Bakwa, Luca, and Dan and Doy and Dominguez, and the only one out of those 4 that's played anything like any number of minutes in the Premier League is Dan and Doy, and you can see the drop off, but it's the recruitment where it's all gone wrong, and that means that these 11 players plus 2 or 3 others are going to have to get us through to the end of the season, both in the Premier League and however far we go in Europe.
Yeah. I've got my notes here when they brought the 2 wingers on. It's kind of what we at the beginning of the season. We've got 4 wingers. We talked about having Hudson-Odoi, Hutchinson, Backward, and Doy in games. this is the point that these guys have been brought to come on and go against tired defenders and make a difference in games. And I question put, will it work? Because we haven't really done that double winger change all season because the other managers have not had the confidence in the players at all. They've not been fit all at the same time in order to do that. And today was, from Pereira's point of view, everyone's kind of starting with a clean slate. He's gone, right, you two, first choice wingers come off, you two go on, make the difference. Thought Ndoye did okay. I mean, Bakwa looks like really devoid of confidence, doesn't he? He had the opportunity where the ball broke for him. He was sort of 25 yards out, and he just dragged his shot horribly wide. Never looked confident. There's a brilliant ball that Williams played over from switch ball from left to right that he just miscontrolled, and it went out for a throw in. He just looked a bit of a shadow of a player. And we're yet to see what he's really got. Hopefully, he's got more than what we're seeing. But hopefully, we stay up this season and he has a good pre-season. We can see something from him next season. But at the minute, as Father said, you'd much rather have Jota Silva coming off the bench than Dylan Bakwa at the minute because of what he did show us last season. So that really is a failure really in terms of recruitment to be able to make a difference when it's needed in games, and we're just not seeing it. But I understand why he made the substitutions because he's given them an opportunity. But yeah, they didn't deliver that today.
Yes, he put his arm around him at the final whistle, didn't he, in Fenerbahce? And I assume he said, "You're going to get your chance." And no one can deny that he really struggled today. I thought Bakwa, he just looked way off it. I think that you're right, Paul. Next season, a good pre-season, a better environment, all that kind of stuff, we might see a different player. But he really struggled. I wonder if McAtee is the change and give him more money. Unless, I suppose the thing you do with Bakwa is, with 3-0 up in that tie, you could start him against Fenerbahce and say, here's a real opportunity for you. Go and show what you can do, and then it might be a different thing. But yeah, as you chaps have said, we got worse when the subs were made. Like Luca, I was really disappointed. Luca, it's just challenging aerially for the ball. He's one of those players that seems to get shorter when he jumps. So I need to see a lot more from. I was more disappointed in Luca than I was in Bakwa. Put it that way. I would need to see more from Luca. And I wonder how much more there is. I think there might be more in Bakwa, but not in this game, certainly. He really struggled.
I was watching Luca today, and was it quite windy? Because up in the Trent End, it didn't feel like it was very windy. But he was, and I'm not trying to be funny, but when he was going for headers, he was so far away from where the ball was. I didn't know whether there were like gusts of wind taking it somewhat. I mean, was there? I don't know. I'm not, honestly.
I don't know. I felt Temps mentioned something about wind at half time. I don't know. Temps was lower down than me. I thought it was a lovely day.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. And he's going up for a header, and then it's like, and it goes about 6 or 7 yards over his head, and I'm like, has he just misjudged the wind or something? But I don't know. Maybe he's just not very good.
God. Well, when he signed it, the report was that his link-up play isn't very strong. So you've got to play to his strength. So if he's going to be on the pitch, we're going to have to sling the ball in for the box for him more than we did today, certainly. Oh, okay. Well, Anderson blamed a gust of wind for a ball corner over the bar. I don't know what his excuse was for a couple of others. I don't know, but
there you go. It was the wind. It was the wind. He is a decent striker.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's take a word. Oh, actually, let's just do man of the match quickly, because it was worth doing man of the match, because we did play well, which makes it all the more painful. I thought Sangare, I'll go first. I thought Sangare was brilliant first half, but over the course of 9 minutes, I actually thought Nico was brilliant from start to finish and didn't deserve to be on the losing team. He was great against Salah again. He got forward really well. It's a top-notch performance from him. But Sangare, first half, was by far the best I've seen from him, and probably the best individual performance from a Forest player this season. But for 90 minutes, I thought Nico was top-notch. What about you, Paul?
I'll give it Sangare, but I agree. Williams did a really good game against Salah. Obviously, Salah got took off after where it was 65, 70 minutes. And if you can, I know he's not been the Salah of previous seasons, but yeah, he had a great game. But yeah, for me, Sangare was excellent.
Fathers?
Hey, it's going to sound like I'm just copying off you two guys, but I've got two names written down, and that's Sangare and Williams. But I'm going to go. I'm just to be different. I'm going to go with Nico, because for me, he's been our best player all season. You can just rely on him. He's good going forward. He's good defending. Salah didn't get a look in. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Nico. So Sangare gets it 2-1.
I think I gave it to Nico.
Oh,
So
I
Nico
think the
gave
chat
it.
gave it to Sangare, so we'll get
The chat gave it to Sangare, and he was really, really, really fantastic. I just thought Nico was, over the course of 90 minutes, was just brilliant. Right, quick word of thanks to Nottingham Window Company, then we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts on how this is all shaking out. If you're looking for new windows or new doors, do click the link in the description. Do check out Nottingham Windows Company. Check out their website and see what they can do for you, new windows or new doors in the Notts area, but mostly they do go into Leicestershire, Derbyshire, and around the East Midlands. So do check out their website. Thanks very much as ever for their support. Right, just wrapping things up then about the final 11 games, Paul. I watched West Ham v Bournemouth. West Ham could have won the game, but I wasn't impressed by them. They've got some absolutely wretched fixtures now. I think they've got Liverpool, City, Fulham, and then is the other one Palace might be their only home. Get Villa, isn't it?
away.
Really tough games. And then Spurs, we've discussed, who were very handsomely beaten today. Leeds are still in it. I watched their game as well, and they did play well. They just draw a ton of games, so they're not quite out of it yet. But I think they'll be all right personally. So definitely us and West Ham in it. I think Spurs are in it as well. Paul, how are you feeling about it all now? Just to sum things up.
Still positive. I think you've got to be. There's no point. What's the point? As Father said at the beginning, if you're not positive, then there's no point turning up, is there? So, I'll be positive till the end of the season, even if we're in the last game of the season, we're 2 points off. It means to beat Bournemouth at home and hope that Leeds and West Ham draw with each other or something like that. I mean, that's again, we said it a couple of weeks ago. They've got each other last game of the season, so one or both of them is going to drop points in that last game of the season. Hopefully, it doesn't go to that. Praying it doesn't get that far. But if it does, it does. And like I said before, we've had players that have been in the situation who know how to navigate it, know how to get out of it, and a manager who did the same thing with Wolves last season, who got them away from it. So he knows how to get out of it as well. We've just got to hold our nerve, haven't we? And that goes for all of us. It goes for fans. Like I said before, if we'd end up dropping in the bottom three at some point, I think had we kept Dyche and we ended up in the bottom three at some point, then there would have been a complete meltdown. Now that we've got a new manager, fresh ideas, well, there's still a bit of a honeymoon period. If we drop in the bottom three in the next couple of weeks, I still think people will be more positive. So, I think that's a good sort of reason for having made that change, because of the difference in feeling among the fans, which hopefully means that people stay on board for longer if things do go a little bit pear-shaped over the next couple of weeks. Still feeling positive, and I think I know Europe is a distraction, but it can be a positive distraction, because end of the day, success breeds success, right? And we can hopefully all have a relatively comfortable night on Thursday, which I'm coming up for. Look forward to the draw on Friday. Find out whether we're going back to Seville or whether we're going to Thingy in Denmark, as Morgan called them. I think we can beat them over 2 legs as well. I know we lost last time, but we've definitely got the beating of them over 2 legs. So hopefully Europe is something that continues and can have a positive infiltration and seep through the positivity into the league, as much as it might mean the players are a little bit tired. But at the end of the day, winning breeds winning, and if we can carry on doing well in Europe, hopefully that has a positive effect on the league as well.
Yeah, I think we saw the positive and the negative today of Europe. Yeah. I thought, we took a lot from the performance in Istanbul, but we just got a bit gassed at the end, even though the manager made subs. But we discussed the impact of those subs. Too Many Phils points out, obviously, we have got really tough games as well, marginally easier than West Ham. But I saw a thing in The Athletic as well, saying West Ham have got the toughest run in. So, and their fans followers are probably in the same sort of position of ours, the sort of too good to go down thing. A team with Bowen in shouldn't really necessarily go down. Somerville's really on fire as well, but they're not getting results. I don't see how West Ham are suddenly going to win 6 games this season. I still think they're a bit of a flimsy defence as well. And Bournemouth weren't great against them, and Bournemouth could easily have won that game, or West Ham could have won it as well. But didn't blow Bournemouth away or anything. I didn't come away from that game like I would have come away from this game, thinking, "Oh yeah, we played really well and we're unfortunate." It was just a bit of a nothing sort of game, which was quite interesting considering there was a lot on the line for West Ham. I felt they really needed to win that game. So just to go back to that point. So how are you feeling about it all, Fathers?
Yeah, well, I was on a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't think it was down to us and West Ham, because I was convinced a Brighton or a Crystal Palace or one of those teams would be sucked into it. They've picked up results. West Ham and ourselves haven't, and we find ourselves now. I think it's 1 from 4 probably, because I still don't think Leeds are capable of falling apart. You know, there's a famous song out there, isn't there? So Leeds are capable of falling apart, and that would be quite nice if that happened, wouldn't it? Tottenham, I just think they're too good for this, aren't they? You speak to any Tottenham fan, they're too good for this. They're not in a relegation battle because they've got the best stadium in Europe, and they shouldn't be in this position. So it's all new to them. They're in trouble. We've got to look after ourselves, haven't we? You know, West Ham against Bournemouth. I have to say, I was watching it and I was praying that West Ham weren't going to score. Bournemouth hit the post actually with about 10 minutes to go, didn't they? The guy ran from the halfway line and hit the outside of the post. And yeah, you know, and we talked about the guy scoring for Man United, and there was a cheer in this household for that. So we are looking at what other teams are doing, because you kind of have to when you're in a relegation scrap, don't you? But at the moment, we've got the points on the board. We're 2 points ahead of them. We've got to play Tottenham again. So if we win that one, we'll be above them as well. So yeah, just let's just keep the faith. And I have to say, when I came out of the Wolves game the other Wednesday night, I was ready for throwing my season ticket in the river. I'd had enough. I really didn't want Sean Dyche to be sacked because I didn't want to support a team that had 4 managers in the same season. It's a record that I didn't really want the team that I love to have, but we're here, and we've got a manager who I think he's out of the Nuno mould, and I think he's going to bring us all together, fans, players, and yeah, come on, let's enjoy these last 11 games. I mean, I nearly finished it by saying it could be our last 11 in the Premier League for a few years, but let's hope not. And let's enjoy the last 11 games, and let's have a run in Europe. Let's get some wins in there as well. And come on, we can look back on it and we can have a great summer.
Yeah, big old weekend next weekend. I know they all are. They're going to be, but you know, if we can get a win at Brighton, then I think I'm going to say I can't see West Ham getting something at Liverpool, but you don't know. But yeah, it's going to go back and forth. I think West Ham were at their lowest ebb when they lost to Wolves, and they responded really well. So I really just hope that we can have that run of 2 or 3 big results, and then I would be really confident. Then we were so close to a really big result today, and just fallen short, which is so frustrating. We're back to go on, Fothers. Yeah.
But can I just ask if you two guys think that with us playing in Europe and our games being on a Sunday, whether you think West Ham have got an advantage because they play 24 hours earlier? I was talking to somebody in the Trent Nav before the game, and it's like, well, all the pressure's off us because they only got a point yesterday. So do you think that's going to come into it as because if we do go further in Europe, we are going to be playing more on a Sunday, and West Ham are going to kind of set the bar for, we could go into a few games in that bottom 3.
I think it's a small advantage to them, I would say. But I guess it goes back to if they win the games, doesn't it, Paul? But I feel it does give them an edge.
Yeah, possibly. I think, again, you can't. I'm trying to think of as players whether you put a huge amount of stock on it, but ultimately you've got to concentrate on what you control, the controllables, isn't it? That's the message that the manager will be giving, I'm sure, and look after yourselves. And what other people do is kind of, you can't influence it. But of course, the psychology, if they have a win on a Saturday, and as Father said, that drops us into the bottom 3, the fans will feel it, and then the tension translates onto the pitch, onto the players. If conversely, if they lose, then it's seen as an opportunity. We can relax a little bit and take the opportunity. So, yeah, I think it depends on how they get on. But I just come back to what we said about fixtures. The massive one I can see on the horizon is 4 weeks today. It's Tottenham away, isn't it? I mean, they've got in between now and then they've got Fulham away and Liverpool away before they play us, and they've got Palace at home. I don't know how many points they're going to get from those 3 games, and then we could still be going to that game if we manage to match Tottenham, let's say, over the next 3 games. We go into that game 2 points behind them with a chance to overtake them. They've won, I think, two games at home this season, all season. I know we've not done brilliant at home, but their home form is wretched, and those fans, honestly, when they go behind, they are really, really seriously vitriolic against that team that they turn. So that's a huge game in 4 weeks' time against them. If assuming I don't see them pulling away over the next 3 games before we play them. So that's going to be an absolutely massive afternoon on the 22nd of March. And if we can get a win in that game, that will really be a massive dagger to them, because it might mean that we go above them. And again, you know, the belief and the toxicity within that stadium and within that fan base, particularly given I don't think they're having the manager. And you know, his first game, North London Derby, get beat 4-1. He's not endeared themselves to them today. So, you know, as long as they're in that sort of circle of doom that they seem to be in at the minute, we can really take advantage of that, hopefully, in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, hopefully. Loads of ifs and loads of buts, and I just have to see what the players can deliver. But as these chaps have said, we've had experience of it and come out of it, which hopefully gives us an edge. I've stumbled a couple of times today because I've been getting texts from my wife, like things like, "Are these sausages okay to use? They've been out of the fridge for 2 hours." So if people are wondering why I've gone a couple of times, I've forgotten what I'm going to say next. It's text like that. Right, we are back tomorrow with Franz and Temps and Pete. So do join us for that. 11 a.m. Good to get their thoughts and take stock of everything. If you've enjoyed this one, do us a favour, hit like, hit subscribe, do consider membership or Patreon, or a lovely 5-star review on Apple or Spotify would be great. Paul Morley, thank you very much.
Cheers, thanks. I think we've sort of repeated ourselves a lot today, but I think we just got to keep saying the same message. I think that's got to be it for the next 11 games, hasn't it? Just keep the faith, keep the positivity, keep believing, and hopefully we get the rewards.
I think we have, because we repeat ourselves because it just comes down to this core question of how do you view today? Was it more like you're less likely to get relegated and people will make their own mind up about that, I guess. Fothers, thank you very much. Congratulations for your Wi-Fi, as Brucey said. Much improved. Most improved player is your Wi-Fi from last time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've moved into the kitchen as I think you gave me an ultimatum, Matt, didn't you? I think the only chance of me coming back on was if I moved back downstairs close to the router. So there you go. Here we are, back in my newly painted kitchen, by the way.
Very nice. Did you do that, or did you get someone in?
And I put the dartboard up. I mean, what more
nice.
could you want? I bet not many listeners have got a dartboard in the kitchen.
No, it's probably a public safety hazard, I'd imagine. It depends how good
Kitchen's
you are at darts.
Kitchen's over there, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Matt, can I just say enjoy your sausages?
Yeah, I think they're ready now. So, yeah, sausages and pasta. I'm looking forward to it. Right, good to have everyone with us. Do join us.
This is on the food tangent. We go, what do you have with sausages? Matt Davies has pasta with his sausages. Most of us have mash. That's a good. That can be your next sort of food tangent for the next few weeks with all the guests. What do you eat with your sausages?
Bangers and mash certainly has a better ring than bangers and pasta, I have to say.
Yeah, bangers and mash or pie and mash. I would normally go pie and mash with onion gravy, and I would often have sausage casserole pasta-y thing. That's my route of choice. Right, we've gone off on a big tangent. Thanks to Paul, thanks to Fothers, thanks to everyone who's joined us. Do join us tomorrow at 11 with Franz, Pete and Temps, and then we'll have a full programme throughout the week as normal, obviously turning our attention to Fenerbahce, and then that very, very big game against Brighton. Not that Fenerbahce isn't big, but you would hope that at 3-0 we can take care of business there, and then hopefully take care of business against Brighton, and then we'll all feel much better than being racked with doubt and terror and fear, as perhaps we all are now. Lovely note to end on a Sunday. We're going to stay up. Who's going down? West Ham are going down. That's my vote. Right. Thanks, everyone. If we don't see you tomorrow, hopefully we shall see you soon.